Hey everyone, I'm JimClassic and you are watching Geekin. So, July is over, and now it's time for me to start doing some stuff I'm really interested in August now. And that is, oh, what the fantastic fuck is this? Okay, well, it seems I've been called away. I'm gonna have to do another one later. Sorry, bye. Hey everyone, it's JimClassic again, and you are watching Geekin'. So, August was a complete bust, I'm sorry, but it's September now. What the? What? No. Okay. Look, you gotta be kidding me. Alright, fine. Alright. Hi everyone, it's JimClassic. And I'm pretty sure you've already figured it out by now. Hi everyone, it's JimClassic, and you are watching Geekin'. So, Thanksgiving is just around the corner. It's November now, and no! Oh my God! Ugh. Okay. Hi everyone, it's JimClassic, and you are watching Geekin'. Merry effing Christmas, everyone! No! God! Fucking hell! Son of a whore! Is the coast clear? Alright. Hi everyone, it's JimClassic, and you are watching Geekin'. Okay, so, for starters, Happy New Year, everyone. Happy 2018, everyone. I've been gone for 5 months. For a variety of reasons, which I'm not gonna bore you with. It's just from, I don't know, from like August to like the end of December, my life was in total chaos. You know, my life is still in chaos, but I'm dealing with it better. So, I am resuming, my program. There were a lot of things I wanted to do in the latter half of 2017. There's a lot of things I wanted to talk about, a lot of toys to review, a lot of movies to talk about, upcoming movies to talk about. And, of course, none of that seemed to have happened. None of that really connected. So, I'm just going to move on, keep going forward, and I'm not really going to focus too much on where I stumbled. So, anyway, that being said, I really want to talk about Star Wars Episode VIII, The Last Jedi. I saw Star Wars The Last Jedi on the opening weekend. I saw it on Sunday. I didn't see it, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think it was start the 15th. And I just kind of want to talk about my thoughts on Star Wars Episode VIII. I just want to give everyone my opinion on Star Wars The Last Jedi. And because there's a lot to it that just kind of left me as there were a lot of WTFs in The Last Jedi, and I actually think I'm okay with that. The Last Jedi started off pretty much minutes after Episode 7 ended. And I think that's pretty peculiar. I don't think any Star Wars movie has done that. I mean, in all the other Star Wars movies, there have been 1 or 2 or 3 years in between movies, with maybe the exception of Empire Strikes Back. I think there was a 6-month gap between Empire and Jedi. But either way, I don't really care one way or the other about that. But there's been a substantial length of time in between each movie. The Force Awakens and Last Jedi are just right next to each other in the timeline, minutes apart from each other. And that's fine. I'm not really complaining about it. Just, it's kind of odd. The opening battle sequence was pretty cool, though. I really liked how Poe Dameron, kind of flew up to the head Star Destroyer. It might have been the, I don't know if it was General Hux' Star Destroyer or that not the Mega Star Destroyer. It was the Dreadnought Star Destroyer. Whatever the big one was with the orbital cannons at the bottom. He just flew up to it and hailed them, which you've never really seen in a Star Wars movie. You see that in Star Trek, but you've never had anyone hail anyone ship to ship. Not in my recollection. So they took a few pages from Star Trek, maybe, or I don't know. I think they kind of took a few pages from Star Trek, but that's okay. Poe Dameron kind of sassing General Hux a little bit. At least it's consistent with his character, since we did see him giving Kylo Ren a hard time at the beginning of The Force Awakens, which I think is hilarious, and I think that says a lot about Kylo, because we all know Poe Dameron, or nobody would have done that with Darth Vader, but Kylo Ren gave him sass. General Hux on board the Finalizer, he gave him sass. I just think that's part of the character. And I was entertained by it. Some people are saying, "Oh, it diminishes General Hux as a villain." I don't think it did. Other things in the movie might have diminished him as a villain, but I don't think that did. But the bombing run on the Dreadnought Star Destroyer was kind of a clusterfuck, really. I mean, you could tell right from the beginning the Resistance was not really going to win this engagement. All they were going to do is kind of slow them down. But I was quite impressed how easily that Mega Star Destroyer got taken out. Still pretty cool, though. The orbital cannons, the orbital bombardment of the Resistance base. Awesome. I don't know. I'm gonna. I don't want to do a whole play-by-play, but let's keep on moving. The Resistance the Resistance capital ship, the Raddus, named after Admiral Raddus from Rogue One. See how they're tying everything together? There were a lot of parallels in The Last Jedi. This movie kind of mirrored the 3 original trilogies in one film. There was a lot of elements used in A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, all kind of clustered and mixed around and blended together to form The Last Jedi. And the next mirroring would be the Raddus's escape and the First Order's dogging them through space. It was quite impressive to see the First Order could track ships in hyperspace now, which is a new thing which has never been done before. Another reference to Rogue One with the hyperspace tracking on board the Citadel on Scarif when she's going through all the super weapons that the Empire is working on. That was definitely Disney trying to connect everything together little by little. There's another thing that happened in The Last Jedi that will be tied into the Han Solo movie in May, and there's that. So you can tell Disney is really trying to do that whole shared universe thing, and I don't know what this is. The whole First Order trailing the Raddus and the meager Resistance fleet was definitely reminiscent of the Empire Strikes Back, except this was a slow, long, drawn-out car chase than it was a riveting, exciting, chase to the asteroid belt, TIE fighters, but that's fine. It doesn't have to match it entirely, but to parallel it on some level. The First Order TIE fighters and Kylo Ren's TIE silencer flying through the Resistance fleet, shooting down things and people, I guess. I don't quite remember. What I really liked, what I kind of expected would happen, is that he couldn't pull the trigger to destroy the bridge of the ship. He couldn't do it. There is still pull with Kylo Ren to the light side. Now, maybe that disturbs him. Sure, maybe it does. I don't know. But there was still that pull there back to the light, even though hours, minutes before, he had just killed his dad. Now, a lot of people seem to be upset about this when the First Order eventually does shoot out the bridge of the Raditz and everyone gets kind of airlocked, not airlocked, just vacuumed out into space. Yeah, kind of doing Admiral Akbar wrong like that. Kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. You know, Admiral Akbar is a fan favorite, and he was just F you, buddy. Apparently, Mon Calamari admirals are just, disposable in the eyes of Disney. The part where you see Leia out into space, I'm thinking like, oh my god, they really did kill Leia. I figured Carrie Fisher died. They did reshoots. Maybe that was that. But to see Leia Organa, I think maybe her eyes opened or something. I forget. But to see her kind of kind of come awake again and use the Force to pull herself back to the ship, that didn't bother me. It bothered some people. I mean, the way they did it might have looked like a little bit like Superman, but the fact that she did that, it didn't bother me. It bothered some people. I look at it this way. I mean, she is the daughter of Anakin Skywalker. She is very powerful in the Force, even though she possibly maybe never did any real Jedi training. She understands the Force. I have no doubt that in those 30 years between Jedi and The Force Awakens, Luke had to have taught her something. Or Leia had to have been experimenting occasionally. So the fact that she was able to survive in space for a short period of time, drag herself or kind of will herself back into the ship, that is fine. That is the kind of stuff I would expect from a Jedi. Or Force user in Leia's case, a powerful Force user. I mean, Darth Vader said it. Don't be so proud of this technological terror you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the powers of the Force. Well, maybe one of those incredible powers of the Force is surviving in the vacuum of space, at least for a short period of time. This is not something to be that upset about. Again, the whole Superman flying pose or whatever it is that she kind of did, okay, maybe they could have done it better, sure, but to complain that she survived in space, I mean, she still needed medical attention the minute she got back on board. She was still out for, maybe like a quarter of the movie, maybe less, but she was still out for a while recovering, but, that's the Force. The Force is a mystical energy field. It surrounds us. It penetrates us. It holds the galaxy together. And you can do magic shit like that. Get over it, people. So after the huge space fight with the First Order and them escaping, and then the First Order catching up, and all of that happened, they cut back to Ahch-To, right where we left off with Rey and Luke, when she's handing him the lightsaber, and Luke is just staring at her like, WTF. No, but he's staring at her. He's got that look on her face. And I think he takes it from her. He just tosses it. And, like, I think just about every fan in the theater was just like, what? Why? There's a point in the trailers, and of course in the movie, where Luke says something to the effect of, this isn't going to go the way you want it to. And let that set the tone for the rest of the movie. It really goes in a way that you don't expect it to. And definitely not in the way that you'd really want it to either, I think. The whole Luke and Rey thing, he spends very little time training her. He's really kind of just holed up in maybe even a depressed state. I don't know. He says at one point he came there to die after his failures at the Jedi Temple with Ben Solo and his other Jedi apprentices. You see so much going on with Luke. Like, a lot went wrong, and it sounds like he didn't know what else to do, and he shut down. That's what they were implying. That's what I kind of got out of it. A lot of us were hoping that he went there to learn how to become more powerful, to learn how to come back as a powerful Jedi. Even some of the trailers where I said, oh, the Jedi must end. a lot of us were hoping there was going to be a facet with maybe the gray Jedi, or maybe he knew the Jedi had to end to maintain the balance. If the Jedi are not around, the Sith won't come back. That kind of the balance, the stuff that they talked about in, or implied in the prequels, and even Star Wars Rebels. Talking about the balance with the Bendu. He's in the middle. Where the Jedi are on the light, the Sith are at the red, and going on the balance. And the movie did not have the what's the word? If you had watched a fan theory over the past 2 years after The Force Awakens, they were probably all shut down by The Last Jedi. And I think that disappointed a lot of people. That disappointed me. I'm not going to lie. I was disappointed that this did not confirm or deny any fan theories. If anything, it probably did deny a lot of fan theories. Unless they're going to be confirmed in Episode 9, who knows? When Rey is meditating on the rock and Luke is like, reach out and feel the Force, and she does that, and he kind of rolls his eyes and slaps her hand away. It's kind of funny. But when he's telling her to focus on her feelings and everything, and then, what was it, the ground cracked? The ground cracked, and Luke's just like, oh, I've only seen this power once before. If it didn't scare me then, it scares me now. And, I mean, like, what was he referring to? Was he referring to, like, Palpatine's Force lightning, or was he referring to how Ben betrayed him? Or how he betrayed Ben, depending on a certain point of view. But, so it didn't really clarify which one was that. A lot of theories in the trailers were maybe Rey is a Palpatine. Maybe that's what Luke is inferring in that statement. And, again, no real answers there. But the whole thing of his reluctancy to train Rey, or at least give her any kind of guidance, I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of that. I found it kind of interesting that Rey immediately gravitated towards the dark side when she lost track of her emotions, when Luke was trying to, work with her. And that later on, 10 minutes later, she found, I guess it was a dark side cave that she went down, and she saw those reflections of her, and it was symbolism for her not wanting to be alone, because she has spent, at least up to that point, much of her life alone. I thought that was a powerful moment. I liked it, and it tells you a little bit about Rey. Again, I was hoping for more. I don't really know what necessarily for that, but I was just still hoping for more. Luke kind of reuniting with Chewbacca, that was great, and like, oh, where's Han? And obviously, it happened. When Luke is aboard the Millennium Falcon again, looking around and just like, oh, I haven't been here in 30 years, or I don't know how many years. As far as I know, it's been 5 years. But we really don't know. But it was a nice moment, him reconnecting with R2, at least for a little bit. I really like how Luke really didn't want to do anything, and R2 opens up the hologram of so many years ago, and he's like, oh, that's a dirty trick, and it kind of re-inspired him to do things again. I might be remembering a few things out of sequence. I've only seen the movie once so far, but there were a lot of good moments. Anyway, yeah, moving on to Canto Bight. There was this whole side story about Canto Bight. It was like a gambling planet, and Finn. I think it was just Finn and Rose were there to track down a code breaker because Maz Kanata recommended him to help infiltrate the Star Destroyer. Blah blah blah. You know what? I don't know if I like it or not. They were doing the whole thing like Finn is impressed with the planet because it's so rich, it's opulent, there's beautiful people dressed up in beautiful clothes, there's money everywhere, and Rose hated it kind of for those very same reasons. I think she even referred to it as a place filled with not degenerates, but she said it was filled with the worst kind of people because these are the rich that trample on top of the poor on this planet. These are the guys that get rich off of the wars that go on in the galaxy. I can get behind Rose's distaste for Canto Bite. It was really good. I think I was more annoyed that the whole side quest to Canto Bite really didn't pan out at all to our hero's plans. While on Octu, I really liked the dynamic between Kylo Ren and Rey. I love how they were connected through the Force in some mysterious way. It was great, you know. It got more into the mysticism of the Force. You know, it's still a mysterious, magical thing. I'm so glad we're back to that, to the magic of the Force, to the mystery behind it, and it was great. Those two are connecting on some level for some reason, and who knows where that's gonna really be, but I like how Kylo Ren is a Dark Force user, but and yes, he can be a monster at times, but you got to see more of a human side to him too. Something you never really got to see from Darth Vader. It just didn't happen with him. The man behind that mask, behind the respirator and the life support, with all that hate and depression inside of him, you never really got to see that. Not really. I mean, in the comics, sure, maybe, but not in the movies. And with Kylo, just he's a person as well as a monster. That's what I got out of it, and I loved how they connected on some levels. We get to see different points of view behind Luke and Ben, how Ben turned to the dark side, kind of why Ben turned to the dark side. The whole thing of Luke wanting to kill Ben right from the get-go, I don't really agree with it. I really don't. But maybe it was just an intense moment of weakness on Luke's part. But from Ben's point of view, he wakes up with a lightsaber in his frickin' face. Of course, after that, I think I'd probably try and kill my uncle too. Eventually, Rey decides she's going to leave Octu. She's not getting anything out of Luke. She's got to help the Resistance. She's got to help her friends. I don't remember how she ended up on the Mega Star Destroyer, the Supremacy, Snoke's ship, but she ended up there. She ended up, getting captured by Kylo or whatever. It was very reminiscent of Return of the Jedi. The throne room, him in his chair, him in the weapon, red guards everywhere. It was an intense moment. I don't really like Snoke's dialogue all that much. It was like, oh, pathetic child. And it's like, you're sounding too much like the Emperor. It felt like he was a carbon copy of Emperor Palpatine. And I was under the impression that Snoke was also used the light side as well as the dark side, and that's what he was teaching Kylo Ren as and such. And I thought, maybe not a true balance, maybe not a true in-the-middle balance with Snoke, but I just thought he was a more interesting and depth person than Palpatine, and I felt like I just got a carbon copy of him. And then Kylo Ren has got Rey dead to rights. He's about to be the executioner to her, and Kylo Ren is, I'm sorry, and Snoke is saying something, I cannot be betrayed, I cannot be defeated, kind of insinuating that he has been before, which would explain all those scars. But it's like, I can see into Kylo Ren's mind. I can see him turning the lightsaber, and you see Luke's lightsaber rotating towards Snoke without Snoke's knowledge. It's like, he will ignite it and destroy his true enemy. And then you see the blue lightsaber going right through Snoke. Really, I think you see Ren flinch, but then, you pull back, you see the lightsaber's like right through Snoke, like, and he's just like, and Kylo brings the lightsaber towards him, it just bisects Snoke altogether, he falls limp in pieces. And Rey ends up with the blue saber. There's the whole thing with the red guards. They're fighting, and Kylo Ren and Rey are fighting side by side to take out their mutual enemy. And it was like poetry. It was really a cool shot. Unexpected to see Snoke just taken out just like that. It really was. And I'm seeing a few fan theories now, and I'm hoping that some of these fan theories are true, that Snoke might have known that Snoke might have been expecting Kylo to kill him the entire time. There's been some source books and stuff that, Snoke is a hot mess. All right, this guy is scarred. He's badly injured. There was some text or something that said he wears extra comfortable slippers because walking hurts him. The mortal physical realm probably has little for Snoke now. He might want to fully immerse himself into the Force. We know about the Force ghosts. You have to be a Jedi. Sith cannot ascend into Force ghosts. But Snoke, he's not a Sith. He doesn't practice the religion. There's a possibility he could transcend into the Force, just like Obi-Wan and Yoda and Anakin Skywalker all did. And there's a theory that that might be the real reason why he may have allowed himself to be killed by Kylo Ren. And then, of course, Kylo Ren, he gets a promotion instantly, and he gets to do with that whatever he wants, or at least until Snoke comes back. Who knows? Who the hell knows what's going to happen? According to Ryan Reynolds and J.J. Abrams, we're going to learn more about Snoke in Episode 9. The guy who's already dead, we're going to learn more about him in the next movie. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. Again, Snoke being killed is a what the fuck moment. And shortly after that, shit's really starting to hit the fan. What I really loved was that kind of hyperspace missile that the Vice Admiral kind of did. She turned the Raddus into a hyperspace missile, essentially. Took out what? The entire First Order fleet, including the Mega Star Destroyer. I mean, I've never have I seen that in any Star Wars franchise. Not just the movies, but the comics, the games, TV shows, nothing. I'm not saying it hasn't been done before, but I've never personally seen it, so I loved that. The movie goes silent for just a moment. Ship goes into hyperspace and just destroys everything. That was really amazing. The scene where Luke is about to destroy the Jedi tree with the texts inside, and then we see the spirit of Yoda come back. And he's a Muppet again. He's a Muppet. Frank Oz, he's a Muppet. He bops Luke on the head, which means he has physical form now. And Luke is hell-bent on destroying the thing, and and Yoda is like, okay, and he uses the weather above to cast lightning down and destroys the tree, and Luke is just flabbergasted. Yoda, as a Force ghost, can now control the weather in the physical plane. Look where he has gone after death. I mean, what can Obi-Wan do? What can Anakin Skywalker do now in the afterlife? And it really showed that even Force ghosts can become truly more powerful than they ever were alive. Towards the third act of the movie, what is left of the Resistance is on the planet in the old Rebel base. They've got old Rebel speeders, which look like protoform B-wings, and then we have the First Order with the AT-ATs, the ATM ones, the bigger ones with the cannons on the hunchback. Finn trying to sacrifice himself for the good of the Resistance. I liked it. I didn't want to see Finn go. I didn't want him to do it, but I knew he had to. And just on preparing to see him go, Rose saves him at the last minute, which I don't agree with. If Finn needed to go out, if Finn was trying to stop the First Order at any means, including his own life, I would have liked that. I would have missed Finn as a character. I like him. He's fun. But that would have been a good way to go out. And then Rose just fucks it up because she has a crush on him or something. I'm sorry. If you're fighting a war, if you're fighting a rebellion, if you're fighting for the freedom of others, noble, but foolish. And then that ending. We see Luke on the Rebel base. He's got the, colors back in his face. We see him approach Leia, gives her a hug or a kiss, gives him Han's dice. For the Han Solo movie. And he kind of winks at 3PO. It was a nice moment. he goes out, and you see Kylo Ren. He's about to crap himself. He's like, "I want every gun on that man," and all the guns are firing, and just a clusterfuck of missiles, and you know, Hux is like, I think you got him." And then you see Luke, all gangster. Kylo comes down, challenges him. I really love it. Luke was like, "I failed you. I'm sorry, I failed you. I effed up. If it wasn't, you know," and I have to agree, he did kind of F up with that. And the sword fight with Luke and Kylo, you know, Luke dodging every single attack of Kylo's, and it was wonderful. You know, I mean, I was hoping to see more stuff, but it was so nice. And then all of a sudden you see, it looks like he's run through. Turns out he's a force projection. Luke wasn't even on the planet. He was still on Octu in deep meditation. And when Luke says, you know, "If you kill me in anger, I will always be with you." Luke, and then once he's on Octu, you see him, like, I guess, hold himself. I guess the lightsaber did some damage through his force projection and really did kill him. And then you see him fade into nothing and join the force. And I don't know if I agree with that. I really don't know if I agree with that. Luke is going to be back in episode 9 probably as a Force Ghost, probably more powerful than ever before. I just don't know if I agree with that. And then we have the Resistance escaping through the rocks. Rey lifted the rocks, but what's left of the Resistance, they gather on board the Millennium Falcon, they take off, and they're like, "We start all over again. We build our support all over again." And at the very end of the movie, you see the slave boys from Canto Bight, you know, sweeping up at their horse races or whatever those animals were. And you see one of the boys, he reaches for the broom, and it comes to him through the forest, and he starts sweeping. And then he looks up in the sky, and you see something goes off, a shooting star, something flying off into hyperspace, whatever. And it just shows you that the cycle continues. It's going to start all over again. Everything happens in cycles. And we have, you know, a young slave in some far-off planet with the Force. And the movie felt like an end of an era. Even though there's still one movie left in this trilogy. It felt like an end of an era. And there's that. This movie did not go at all the way I expected to. And I don't think anyone expected the movie to go this route, this drastically, this many times. I enjoyed Star Wars The Last Jedi, but I didn't love it. Maybe I brought too many of those fan theories with me into the movie. Maybe I had too many of those expectations with me, and every time one of those theories didn't come true, maybe that's what disappointed me more than the movie did. I really left the theater asking more questions than the movie provided answers for. And I'm okay with that. I really am okay with that. I found The Last Jedi very off-putting. I found it really shook up a lot of things, a lot of expectations that you would just assume that Star Wars would go in. And I really have to accept that the new Star Wars trilogy, and Star Wars from this point on, is another person's vision. It's another person's ideas. I mean, sure, you could argue it's like a think tank room with Disney executives, you know, with suits and just saying money, Star Wars, money, we want, and yeah, I'm sure there's that too. But someone else has come up with these ideas. Someone else has come up with this vision, and you know, I just have to accept that this is not the Star Wars I was hoping would happen. But I accept the fact that it's going someplace else. Luke Skywalker in the novels had an illustrious career as a Jedi Knight, as a Jedi Master. We know virtually nothing of the Luke Skywalker in the new Disney canon. We don't know how illustrious or catastrophic Luke's Jedi career really was. I mean, yeah, okay, the very end, 5 years ago with Ben Solo, Jedi Order collapse. Okay, that's a catastrophe. But we don't know what happened in between Jedi and that moment. We don't know how good it was. We don't know how bad it was. Like I said, I don't entirely agree that Luke Skywalker fizzled out all that much as a person, as a Jedi. He he did thrive as a legend, and really that was the point that the movie was trying to make. Luke was more important as a legend than he was an actual person. Um, it's poetic. It's poetic. It might be beautiful in some abstract way. I just don't know if that's. It's not really what I was hoping for, but I accept it.